Paul, here we are.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. So should we introduce our guest?
Yes.
I'm very excited today. I'm very excited. We have Chit, who started the Punchline in Atlanta, as well as has produced TV and film. He's also a talent manager of some fantastic comics. And his client, Billy Gardell, is coming on a new CBS show, Bob Hart as Shola. Here we have Chit.
Yeah. Nice. Welcome.
Hey, Chris.
All right. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Very good.
And it's Bob Hart Abishola, and it's already on the air. We've been on for a year. Come on.
I'm so sorry.
We already
I'm
been
living under a rock.
This is good.
How are you, Chris?
I'm very well. You know,
You're in Atlanta.
Yeah, I'm housebound in Atlanta, unfortunately.
Oh my gosh! But you've been able. Your club was just able to reopen, right? We were closed for a while.
We opened a month ago with very limited seating. I mean, very limited, and at 1/3 of capacity.
Oh my gosh!
We have social distancing, which is important. Everybody feels that you have to do that. You have to wear a mask to come in. Our staff is all masked all day long or all night long. So, and if you move around, if you get up to go to the bathroom, you got to put your mask on and do that. So,
oh boy,
we're making do. But we're open. So,
but you're open.
Yeah, that's the biggest.
That's great. A lot of clubs have not even been allowed to open at all yet.
Not at all.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's crazy.
How long did it take you guys to prep under these new guidelines for the opening?
Well, we kind of been doing it all along, but the 2 weeks probably to get everything the way we needed it. We had to redo the seating chart and move some tables and make sure everything was clean and spick and span. So that's what we did.
Yeah.
But I'm sure the audiences are thrilled to get out and.
Yeah, I mean, they've been very appreciative. And I mean, to be perfectly honest, and not just my club, but a lot of the others that have opened have noticed that people are eating and drinking more too. So,
really?
I think they're just happy to be out.
Nice.
Yeah, happy to be out. And they've been eating the same thing at their own house for weeks and weeks.
Yeah. They're like, let's have anything else.
That's fantastic. Who do you have coming up in the next couple of weeks performing with you?
Well, let's see. Paul Verzi's there this week. I know if you know Paul from New York. He's a very funny comedian. We had Dusty Slate last week. And who's next week? I wish the heck I knew. Okay.
We'll post it.
How great I am on this. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Punchline.com. You can get all the information you want. Okay.
Fantastic. So, Chris, how did you get started in comedy?
It was a long story, a long road to get to comedy. We had, I did a number of things early on. I was a manager of bands, a booking agent for bands. Also, worked at a nightclub in Athens, Georgia. Oh. Then when disco happened, I became the electric bull runner in the club, and also took it out on the road in a trailer. A trailer with electric bull, and I think we brought 12 mattresses with us. They were
my gosh.
Oh yeah, it was fun. And the girl I was dating at the time was my assistant, and she used to go with me to different places, and it was hysterical. Okay,
awesome.
So when they say you're full of bull, they're not kidding. When they say you're full of bull, they weren't kidding.
Exactly. And from there, we just tried to find something else to do. We sold the club in Athens, and Dave and Ron, who were my partners at the time, they were looking around for a location in Atlanta. It took us about 10 months to find the right location. And what happened one night is Dave had stayed out late one night and was at a pancake house and was reading the paper and looking for a retail space. And where he was at, he was in a pancake house, and across the street was a country western bar nightclub that just closed.
Oh, wow.
The landlord was showing the place that morning. Well, as it turned out, Dave was up already. It was like 9:30, 9:45. They opened the doors at 10. He walked across the street and walked in, looked around, and said, "We'll take it." And that's
wow.
how quickly it became. The funny thing was nobody had any money to start this club. It was a matter of scrounging the money up within a week in order get the rent paid and all that. You know, we procrastinated to get the lease done, so we didn't have to give anybody money right away.
Oh my gosh.
You know, and it wasn't a lot of money to open the club up, but as it turned out, you know, from the day we opened, we were packed for about 2 years.
Wow. And what year did you start?
82. With February of 82, we opened up.
Wow.
And so it was a comedy club right off the bat.
Oh yeah. It was a monster from the time we opened up. I mean, we used to go to the Cleveland Comedy Club because we're all from Cleveland. So, you know, we'd gone there for a couple of years prior to us opening in Atlanta. And we thought to ourselves, it was in the worst area of Cleveland at the time where this club was. And we would go there and it was packed all the time. It was a small shotgun room. And we thought to ourselves, you know, this would be a great thing in Atlanta. If this can work here, it can work in Atlanta. And as it turned out, it took a little while, but it worked big time.
Were there other comedy clubs at that time, or were you the first
No,
comedy
we
club?
were the first club in the Southeast. There wasn't another club at all in the Southeast.
That's amazing.
Yeah, the other club that existed, there was Zanies in Chicago, and the clubs in New York, of course, the Improv and Catch a Rising Star. Not much else. There was, I think, a Laugh Stop in Houston, and one was in Irvine at the time, I think. But that was it, you know. And of course, the Comedy Store was open.
Yeah.
But other than that, we started in the Southeast big time.
So
where did you start booking your first comics? Did you book the guys you saw in Cleveland, or how did you?
Well, actually, we did. There was a guy out of New York called Jerry Stanley. Okay, he was a booking agent in New York. He used to book all the comics out of New York, actually out of everywhere. And Jerry, you know, hooked up with us early, and he booked our club for I think 2 years, and then we just took it and started booking it ourselves.
Yeah.
So what was your process of finding comedians in that vicinity?
In Atlanta?
I mean,
you brought them in.
We brought everybody in from New York and LA initially, but there was a place here called Excelsior Mill where comics from Atlanta had started. Okay. There were young comics, guys who, you know, they're rough around the edges, but we did have about, I would say, maybe 10 comics in Atlanta at the time. And they were pretty spectacular. I mean, guys worked out really well. James Gregory, J. Anthony Brown. I mean, Tom Parks would be around. George Wallace was here. I mean, it's so many comics started here in Atlanta. You know, Pam Stone, she used to be on a show called Coach. Jeff Foxworthy. You know, all those guys came from here, and so there's you know, a lot of great comics that headed out here, and then a lot of urban comics that, you know, came from Atlanta. Chris Tucker, you know, so it was a wealth of riches for a while.
And they all came through your club.
All of them, everybody.
Yeah. Now, what's the comedy scene like now for local comics in Atlanta?
Well, there's about 4 clubs in town. Everybody's closed for the most part. There's 2 urban rooms. There's our room, and then there's Laughing Skull, which is a very small room, an alternative room in town. And that's pretty much it. There's a lot of comics do some of their own stuff. They run around town and, you know, put shows on in different venues here and there. But as far as a dedicated comedy club is concerned, it's pretty much us, you know, for the most part.
And then do you have stuff that helps open mics and things that, you know, developing comics?
We do a showcase night on Sunday night primarily. We're more the paid club in town.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I book guys who are ready to be on stage.
Right.
You know, that's really what we do. There's a lot. The scene is there's a lot of guys who haven't quit their day jobs yet.
Yeah.
You know, they're trying to be comedians, and, you know, they haven't made that final step yet. I mean, and that's something that you got to be brave. You know, it's like to give that job up as an accountant or, you know, as a supermarket manager or wherever you're doing. You know, to make that jump that's a leap of faith. Because it isn't easy. I can tell you from experience, and also, you know, from my own experience with my son, watching him do it. And that's been, you know, crazy in itself.
Yeah. And he said, if someone's getting ready to make that jump, is there anything that you would tell someone like that? Or when do you think that they're ready? What would be a sign that I think you're ready to make that jump?
Well, I mean, for me, it's a situation where, first of all, hopefully you got a half hour of material that's just crushing, that's
Yeah.
doing really well. I mean, you have to, you got to know your limits and your. I'm trying to remember a good word, but anyway, you have to know that you're ready. Number one, and you really have to take that leap. I mean, if you like sleeping in your own bed, it's probably not a good idea for you to get involved in this. I mean, truly, it's like, I mean, my partner at the club, Jamie Bendel, he is a great comic in his own right. I mean, he's a lawyer. He's a variety of things. He wears many hats, but he's an excellent comic in his own right. And he just, he'll tell you straight out. He goes, I couldn't leave my family, and I couldn't, sleep in different beds and, work on the road. It wasn't for him. Yeah. And, it's not for everybody, and it's a hard life. I mean, trying to stay married and be a comedian is very difficult.
Yeah.
I always tell that, but I hate to say the negative part of this, but that's really what it is. I want people
to know. That's reality.
Yeah, I want people to know going in that it's not easy, and it's about a 10-year process to really, get really good. There are shortcuts now because of the internet that have worked for a lot of people. But if you genuinely want to be a stand-up, it takes a long time.
Joan Rivers said it takes 7 years to really find your true voice.
Right, without question. And I used to manage Jeff Foxworthy early on, and it took. Fortunately for him, he was able to do it in 5. I mean, from the time he first stepped on stage, 5 years later, he was on the Tonight Show with Carson. Leno, I think, the first time, but he was with Carson later. And but he had the advantage of being on stage for about 50 weeks a year, and at least 6 to 8 shows a week for 4 years. I mean, that's how long he honed his craft before.
But that's incredible. How do you get that much stage time? That's not easy.
Well, back in the day, we used to, the clubs were open from Tuesday to Sunday. So, you booked a guy on Tuesday. Usually it was a short trip for them because we did our showcase night on Tuesday nights. We brought our headliner in to just do like 20 minutes at the end of the show. And then she worked the rest of the week. And the same for the feature acts. So, and the feature and the middle acts. So they got a lot of stage time just coming to work.
That's great. Now, how did that change from the very beginning to like, was there a development that?
Well, things have changed dramatically from then. I mean, getting stage time is very difficult, especially, I mean, in New York and LA it's tough to get stage time. I mean, if you're not in the group, it's you're working small little rooms, you're working at comic book stores or in coffee houses, just doing what you can for stage time, and that's tough. I mean, and if you're not going out on the road, I mean, I'm talking about road comics for now. I mean, they got on the road and they would work as much as they possibly could, but they were trying to survive, number one, because if they're working as a feature act in a club, they're making anywhere to $500 to $700 a week. And, in today's money, that's not very good, especially if you're driving to each gig that you're going to and trying to find a place to stay in the middle. So, as I said, it's not an easy life. You really don't want it.
Yeah.
Who else have you started that was kind of exciting that you're proud of?
Well, I mean, I started Foxworthy, of course. That was the first guy I managed. Kind of worked out.
Oh, really?
I managed Jeff for 5 years. I sold the You Might Be a Redneck book. That was
really?
And the first special, his Showtime special. So I was pretty happy with that. That worked out pretty good.
Yeah.
The second most famous would be Steve Harvey. I managed Steve for 6 years. I got him Showtime at the Apollo and his first show on ABC called Me and the Boys. So that was pretty good, and his 2 HBO specials. So
that's
that worked out. And I worked with Brett Butler for a little while.
Oh wow!
I had a comic named Tim Wilson who was kind of regional, but probably one of the best comics I'd ever worked with in my life. And he passed away about 3.5 years ago. And I mean, a true genius in his own right. But I mean, the guy was brilliant. He was Southern, but incredibly smart, and also a musician at the same time. And he knocked him dead. I had, and then I worked with Billy Gardell for 25 years. I think it is 26.
Oh my gosh!
Wow!
Wow!
Great.
So we've been together a long time, and Billy is one of a kind and a brilliant comic in his own right. A lot of people don't realize how good a comedian he is. He just, he's a TV star. So
right.
he works pretty much casinos and corporate events now, primarily. Rarely we get him in the club. Every once in a while, he'll do a friend a favor and play the room. Like me, for instance, he'll come play my room every so often. And but we have friends in the Southeast, guys that he's known for a long time. He'll do a favor for him here and there.
Yeah, well, Mike and Molly was huge.
Oh yeah, Mike and Molly was great. I mean, that was such a joy to be around. The cast was in love with each other, truly. And we wish it could have went for a much longer time, but politics gets in the ways of a lot of shows.
Yeah.
Ratings had nothing to do with it. Politics has everything to do with it.
Right.
So you have to, you have to realize that happens on so many shows that you wonder, gee, why did that show go off the air? Sometimes it's you don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah. Very good. So when you're looking for a comic, what to you makes a great comic? Is there a certain quality or certain?
Well, first of all, I like to see someone that makes me laugh. Okay, first is that's not easy. Okay, after 38 years or 39 years in the business, you really got to kind of to do something to make me laugh. And I don't mean that. I laugh at a lot of stupid stuff too, but I analyze comics probably too much.
Yeah,
because I've been doing this for so long.
Right.
But I like something fresh and new and something that I haven't heard before, or if I have, I like it with such a different twist on it that that it makes me laugh. And I'm a fan. I'm a fan of comedy because I enjoy watching guys to death. I mean they kill me. Like Bill Burr for me he's aces as far as I'm concerned. I love watching Billy because you never know what's going to happen with him. And there's a lot of other comics. Nick Griffin's another one from New York, a guy who I love. I mean, I think he's terrific, and probably a lot of people don't realize how funny the guy really is. He's understated, and I really like that.
Yeah.
And is Billy from Atlanta, or how did
you? No, Billy's from Pittsburgh, PA. Via Orlando, Florida for a while, and then he made his way to Atlanta with me, and then went to Chicago, and then went to Los Angeles.
I see. Yeah, that's cool. When you're booking for your club, I mean, do you go through a certain process or
to book the club?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, here's the thing: we've been doing this such a long time. Most everybody approaches us. I mean, agents and managers are constantly calling to try and get their acts in the club. Right. And, we have to, it's a struggle sometimes because we're a club that people pay to get into. Okay. I mean, we don't telemarket at the Punchline. We never have. Okay. We don't give tickets away. We don't, and we never have. And if people want to come see comedy, they pay to get in, and they pay because they know they're coming to see a great show. There's no question about it. You're going to see something that's, you're going to remember, and you're going to laugh, and you're going to enjoy yourself.
Right.
And, I am a snob when it comes to that. I have been my whole life. We've been open now 38 years. Okay.
Wow.
We don't give tickets away. I mean, it's a matter of, come out, pay. And the audience has way more respect for the comedians if they pay to get in, as opposed to getting in for free. They have no, if they have nothing vested, they just soon talk through the whole show and not pay attention. And I don't want that. I've never liked that.
And your club seats a pretty good amount of people. What is the capacity?
Well, now not near as many as we used to. We only see 200 now.
Right.
Right. I mean, we sat 285 when we had our original room.
Right.
We're down to 200 now, And, it's actually worked out well for us, though, because what's happened in Atlanta is so many other venues, theater venues, have opened up around town that, anywhere from 1,000 seats, sometimes 1,500 to 2,000, all the guys that sell out our room in a week, if they sell out our club, they're in concert the next time they come to town. So that's how it works. Nobody comes back after they've sold out the room for 1 week. It just doesn't work that way. I mean, and as a manager, I respect that. I understand. Believe me, I don't like it as a club owner. Being the scum club owner that I am, and management, I get it. It's like I don't ever want anybody to go anywhere and just work my club forever and their whole life. But that's ridiculous. As I put my manager hat on, I'd say, look, are you out of your mind? My act's not working for you anymore. He just sold 1,200 seats. In a week at your club, he's not coming back. Thanks. Maybe you can promote the concert. And I was doing that. But we are the low rung of the ladder of entertainment. Okay, we really are. We're the and I hate to say that, but it's true. And ask any agent or any manager, and they'll tell you, yeah, well, he works there because he's got to pay the rent, or she has to pay the rent. That's why they're there. It's not a career move. They don't feel it is. Yeah. Although so many guys have come out of comedy clubs. Yeah. You guys know it. How many comics, they've pretty much all started there at one time or another.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Who was your biggest name that kind of like dropped in and did some time there?
Well, Eddie Murphy did time here. Robin Williams did time here.
How was it working with Robin Williams?
Was that back in
it was a blast. I mean, it was just, we're talking about, when was that? 1984 is the first time he did it.
Wow.
It was a ride. He came in and he was just hanging out. He was doing something in town, and he came there with some friends. And, he came in and we were like beside ourselves. Robin Williams is here. Are you crazy? So he was upstairs with us in the office, and we were goofing around, and somebody found out he was here, and then the crowd started chanting, Robin, Robin, Robin.
Oh, wow.
So he went on stage for about 15 minutes. So, that was good. And then
have as much energy.
Oh, yeah. Well, off stage, no, not at all. And on stage, I mean, it was like somebody lit a firecracker and, he just went off on stage.
Yeah.
So, off stage, it was really mild and calm. And, we were all talking and having a good time.
Yeah.
Murphy came one night because he kind of wanted to warm up for a concert he was doing in Atlanta.
Oh, really?
So he came in one night, and that was great. We had Richard Pryor came in too and did a set.
Oh my gosh,
that's incredible.
Yeah. Well, Paul Mooney knew that Richard was going to be in town, and they're big buddies. Had been for years. And Paul, told me, he goes, well, if you book me the week that Richard's going to be doing the Fox, he goes, I can get Richard to come to your club. And at the time, I had already had Paul Provenza booked, to headline the room.
Yeah.
And I told Paul, I said, well, are you sure he'll come? He goes, yeah, you get me in the room. I said, okay, well, it's a co-headline, Paul Provenza and Paul Mooney. So that we had we had two Pauls that week, and Richard showed up. I think it was a Wednesday night, I think. He showed up with Jim Brown, strangely enough, from the Cleveland Browns, and I'm from Cleveland, so it was like I was almost more excited to see Jim Brown than I was.
That's funny.
Yeah. So but it was it was a great time. We had Rich Little was the first celebrity actually that ever came to the club.
Oh, I love Rich Little.
Yeah, and over the years, though, man, it's so many people have run through the club. I mean, every comic of in every stage of their career has been at that club.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
And then how did you segue into? I mean, did your management, in terms of managing comedians by them, outside of what you were doing in the club, did that start soon thereafter, or how long?
Well, it really kind of did. It was about 2 or 3 years in. It was funny because we had Gary Shandling working at the club one week.
Wow.
And the week that he was working at the club, he got a phone call letting him know that he was going to guest host the Tonight Show. So, when that happened, I'd hung out with Gary. He's a regular guy. I mean, we'd been partying, every night, and he was fun, hysterically funny. I mean, God, that man was just funny. I mean,
Wow.
really, truly. And I thought to myself, wow, this is interesting. How this was going on. And his manager, Brad Gray, at the time, I knew where Craig was from. He was from Buffalo, New York, and I'm from Cleveland. I said, well, hell, if a guy from Buffalo could do this, I could do this. So so I just started getting into it. I worked, like I said, Foxworth was pretty much the first one that took off. I had one guy before that, Lewis Nixon, and he kind of just faded away. He didn't quite listen to me, and he faded out of. It's a long story. It's actually a great story. It's very funny, but I'm not going into it right now.
No? Oh, come on, Chris.
Yeah, Lewis's story was Lewis was a road comic. Okay, I mean, truly a guy who worked on the road. Really sweetheart of a guy. He was dating a girl who was beautiful from Huntsville, Alabama. I mean, this girl was spectacularly beautiful.
Oh.
And so she wanted to move to Florida to try and get into modeling. So they moved to Florida, and he was still working on the road. He was a feature act. I mean, he wasn't even a headliner.
Oh, wow.
And so she started getting looked at. And at the time, it was when Don Johnson was in Miami Vice.
Oh, yeah.
Well, she got a bit part first in Miami Vice. Okay. And then she got noticed when she was on Miami Vice. And she got looked at for a music video that Julio Iglesias was doing in the Bahamas. So Julio wanted to take her to the Bahamas. So at the same time, Don Johnson, I think he was single because he kept hitting on Teresa and, his girlfriend. And he would come back and she'd tell him stories about this guy's talking to me. He wants me to go here. This one wants to go here. And Lewis, again, is making $500 a week, traveling in his dumpy car, going to different shithole gigs across the country. And so he checked his machine one day at the house, okay? And on the machine, there was a first phone call was from Julio Iglesias, okay? It goes, click.
Oh, my God.
Teresa, this is Julio. He goes, I need you to come with me to the Bahamas. We're going to do this music video. It'll be beautiful, And, I mean, you gotta remember, he's calling from a phone booth somewhere in Des Moines. Okay? He listens to that. The next message is Don Johnson.
Oh, my God.
Don Johnson's saying, Teresa, come on, man. You've been blowing me off all this time. He goes, let's go to dinner. Don't worry about your boyfriend. So, I mean, this guy's dying, okay? I mean, he's truly dying listening to all this.
Well, and he moved out there for her.
Yeah. So, but here's what I wanted him to do, and he wouldn't do it. Okay. Here, as a manager, okay,
yeah.
This was my ploy. I said, I need you. I said, go down, let Teresa go out with Don Johnson. Tell her, oh, it's no big deal. Let Teresa go with Don Johnson. I said, find out what restaurant they're going to go to. I said, I want you to go to the restaurant. And we'll call some publicity. I don't even think TMZ was around there, but like National Enquirer. Yeah, I wanted him I wanted him to go punch Don Johnson in the face and say, the picture of him punching him in the face. Road Comics is, punches Don Johnson for stealing his girlfriend. I said, you'll be the most famous comedian on the planet.
It's true.
And he just wouldn't do it. He says, oh, I can't do that. He can't do that. I said, well, you're missing a golden opportunity. Okay. So, but that was just some of my craziness as far as, management was. That was my great management advice at the time.
No, but you and I think alike. It's all about, a lot of it is, but now there's social media. Before that, you needed an event, a publicity, something to make you stand out from the crowd.
Exactly. I mean, and that was it. I mean, people actually read newspapers back then.
Oh, yeah.
You could have got it, and would have made TV too. I mean, it would have also been on television. I mean, it would have been a huge story, but sometimes you got to take advantage of those situations, and we weren't able to at the time.
Yeah. And then he just kind of faded away.
Yeah, he kind of faded away. He started working on boats, and we never heard from him again.
Oh gosh. Oh no.
I mean, that's just a great guy, really sweetheart of a man, truly. But that girl, and then she went on to marry some guy in some country western band. A famous one. I mean,
wow.
Yeah. No, and she was on soap operas for like 10 years.
Oh, really?
What's her name?
It was the first name. I don't remember her last name.
Yeah.
Mm.
I know the soap world. I'm like, I mean, maybe I know her.
Maybe you managed her.
Yeah, for all I know, I've managed her at some point. I handle a lot of soap stars. Oh my God.
So, Chris, did you manage any female comedians, or were they just all men? Or
Let's see. Well, I had Cheryl Underwood for a year.
I love Cheryl.
And that Cheryl was great, but Cheryl was a handful. And that's as much as I'm going to go into that one. I mean, she was. I mean, she's a really sweetheart of a person, truly.
Yeah.
And we're friends. I mean, I don't see her that much, but we've run into each other. You know, when Billy did the talk a few times, I saw her on the talk and saw her at the airport here and there. But you know, we talk, and you know, she's fun.
Yeah.
But she is who she is.
That's
well, no, I've had clients that they're wonderful human beings, but when you work for them,
yeah,
you either get demanding or neurotic or yeah,
all of that. Okay, well,
yeah. It just you find that their life is too short.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, I used to manage. I also managed Earthquake. I don't know if you're familiar with Earthquake or not.
It's Earthquake.
Yeah, Earthquake's a black comic. Well, a very, very funny black comic. I mean, just one of the best. Period. You know, he is a standout in his own right. I think he had a TV show for a minute. At one time, but he's still touring, and he did a radio show out of New York a couple of years ago for I think 3 years. But a brilliant comedian. I also managed Anthony Brown too. Who is actually on Steve Harvey's show now.
Yeah,
he was on the Tom Joyner morning show for about I think 15 years.
Wow,
with Tom Joyner. So all those guys. I mean, I've been lucky enough to either handle, manage, or work with a ton of comedians. I mean, over the years, there are just so many guys.
Yeah.
When did you segue from that into like getting involved in producing?
Well, I mean, really and truly, most of the producing is done by doing. I did something a long time ago called the Atlanta Comedy Classic, which if you see it, that's my pitch poster behind me right there.
Yeah.
I did that. Oh. You see it? Yeah, there's a couple guys in there. We did that in like '86.
Wow.
And I did it with Foxworthy's on it, Tim Wilson, James Gregory, a lot of Atlanta comics and mostly Atlanta comedians. And that was the first thing I ever did. I produced that, executive produced it, put it together, put it on on videotape, and sold the.
Oh wow!
Sold the tapes because there was no real outlet at that time to get rid of it.
It wasn't.
That's awesome. Video. I put the whole thing together. I think it took me 4 weeks to put everything together and put it together and try and sell it. Did it on a shoestring, needless to say. I had a few investors to help me out. Yeah. And we taped it at the Punchline. It really worked out really well. People still have this tape and now DVDs of it, that are out there. And it's also on Amazon, I think. You can also get it on Amazon if you really want to. So.
Oh, that's really fantastic. What's this? Oh, Rita Rudner.
Yeah.
That was Jeff Dunham and Rita Rudnick.
I love Jeff Dunham.
I think he's so
gifted.
Yeah, it's funny because I think that was about 3 weeks before his puppet, the dead terrorist puppet, hit on the internet.
Oh, yeah. Ahmed, I kill you.
Ahmed,
I kill you.
Kill you. Yeah, that's about seriously maybe a month before that happened. Yeah. And no one could touch him after that. For what I paid him that week, he would would laugh at me for actually thinking about that money.
I tell you, his stuff is he's an amazing ventriloquist, but his writing is fantastic. It's just flawless. Does he write all that himself, or does he have help?
I think so. Most of it, yeah. And I mean,
it really is flawless.
Most of it himself.
Do you know him, Paul?
Yeah, I know who he is. Yeah, now
I think he's amazing.
Now they're both in Vegas. They're huge in Vegas.
Yeah. No, he did. I mean, he was there for a couple of years, I believe, in Vegas.
Yeah.
And a lot of fantastic specials.
Through there all the time, though. I see signs for him every once in a while.
Right. I mean, he was touring for a while and just selling out 20,000 seats. He's selling out which I always thought was funny because you're a ventriloquist. You know what I mean?
No, he's come here.
It's like, you know, you're in the 80th row and you say, I can't see his lips move. And he goes,
Oh,
And I thought of becoming a ventriloquist during the quarantine. So you can't see my lips.
you know, I think everybody should.
Right?
You gotta done it. Why not?
yeah, no, he's
I was thinking of that today.
he's come through the casinos here in Palm Springs that are pretty big seating here in Palm Springs at the casinos. So I've seen both him and Rita have been through here.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
Rita's been working forever. You know,
Oh, yeah.
she lives in Dana Point. That's where she lives right now. You know, her and her husband. And she works every so often, not all the time. She works when she wants to.
Right.
Yeah. She had a room in Vegas that she
That's good.
had. It was like her room. She played every night
Yep.
Yeah.
for a
She
while.
I mean, I'm sure she made nice chunk of change, and you know, she
say the
doesn't have to work that much anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's everybody's goal. You know, everybody wants fuck you money. You know, that's really what everybody's shooting for.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
So they can work when they want.
Yeah.
I had no Jack Carter until he passed away for almost 30 years. And all he wanted to do is he wanted to work all the time. He loved to work, like always. And it was even towards the end, he was in the hospital, and I got a job offer for him. I said, "Don't turn it down. I'm coming out. Tell him to wait a week. Wait a week."
Right.
And I was literally putting him off. And finally, his wife Roxanne said, "You better turn it down. Like, I don't think he's gonna be well enough to do this." But he was fighting to get me out of this hospital. I got a booking.
Now, those old timers are, you know, they were killer. I mean, truly. I'm trying to think of one who I worked with in Atlanta. God, about 10, 12 years ago. Oh, and I can't remember. Oh, Jesus, I'm getting old. I can't remember his name. It'll come to me in a second. Anyway, you know, they'd work all the time. You know, he'd want to work and do shows. Oh, Jack. What am I saying? And Jackie Mason.
Jackie.
Oh, I love Jackie Mason. You remember Jackie Mason?
Oh, yeah. Jackie worked our club, and he came in. And the funny thing is his crowd was so old. we had to do
How old were they?
Yeah, right.
We had to do 6 o'clock shows. Okay,
For real.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
it was so funny because
6 o'clock.
and
They're all old Jews, like old.
oh yeah, you know, it's like these funny. It was funny. These two old women were in the club, and they were two old Jewish women, and you could hear them yelling from the audience, "Jackie, Jackie, Jackie, I saw you in the Catskills."
Oh, oh my God.
You know, I got to tell you, we had more falls that week than we ever had in our
Oh
whole,
no.
the lifetime of the club. We had 7 people fall that week. Okay, you know, because we had a couple little steps in the club, and then boom, over they go.
Oh, no.
You know, and then plus we had more oxygen bottles than we ever had anytime. You know,
More what?
Oxygen.
oxygen bottles. You know, people.
Oh,
were
for real?
Oh yeah, they were carrying their oxygen with them. You know,
Yeah. That's,
they were old. They
Yeah.
were old.
yeah.
Oh my God. But he was great. Is he still? I mean, I saw him on Broadway a little while ago. Is he still working?
I don't know if he's still alive. I don't know. You know,
I think he is. I think he's still alive.
I think
Wow.
so.
Well,
And
you
he'd
know,
probably take a booking if it was offered. I mean, one of those guys that they just love to work. Like Martin Eagle, same thing. They just love to work. I saw Jack Carter the last time he did the Friars Club, a special engagement, and he was in his 80s, and he was having trouble walking through the getting upstairs. He'd walk, and he was on some medication. He had to pee every 5 minutes. He says,
Right.
"You know how hard it is? You have to pee every 5 minutes in New York, and there's nowhere to go." He had to pee before he went on stage and pee, and he was hunched over like this. Oh, pain. And the minute the lights come on, I watched. Boom.
Yeah.
He grew 10 feet. He's doing it, and he's moving. He's doing a routine about dancers he used to do. And I'm like, how is this happening? The minute the lights went off, he hit the curtain, shrunk in half.
absolutely.
He just lived to be on stage.
Absolutely. You know, and the funny thing was that he'd party afterwards. Then he'd go out. He'd go out drinking, you know, and seeing where, you know, what clubbing, you know, seeing what's going on. That's what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
God bless you.
That is amazing. Amazing.
So you have a son. He's hilarious, by the way. I saw his
Yeah.
stuff yesterday.
Very good looking too, Chris. He's a rugged guy.
That's been interesting. It's like I shared a house with him when we had Mike and Molly on the air. I rented a house in Studio City, and he lived with me. And I would be back and forth to Los Angeles all the time from Atlanta, but I spent a lot of time in Atlanta too. So basically, he had a whole house to himself. And
that's nice.
It was terrific for him.
Dangerous for you.
Oh, he enjoyed himself. Trust me. That was a lot of fun. Hollywood is a real dangerous place.
Yeah.
So when did you know that he started having these comedic aspirations?
I had no idea. Okay. He showed up, and this was like 8 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
He showed up, he graduated from college, and him and his buddies came to LA. And I thought at the time I had an apartment, and so they had 5 of them, and they were staying there and hanging out and just doing the sights in LA. And I said, okay, that's cool. Yeah. And one by one, they started leaving. And, one by one, they were going. About every other couple of days, somebody left, and then it was just him. Mm-hmm. And so I said, okay, well, when are you going back? And he looked at me and goes, oh, I'm not going back. I said, well, what are you going to do? He goes, I'm going to be an actor. I went, an actor? I said, well, he used to play baseball. He played baseball in high school and college, and he was in the minor leagues for a few minutes.
Oh, wow.
And, he played the independent league for about 2 months. He got hurt and then just didn't go back to it. But he just said, well, I'm ready to go do this. And I said, do you understand how hard this is? This is not an easy go. You've seen what I've gone through. And I said, this is it's a tough business. And he said, look, Dad, I've been turned down by, I think it was 32 major league teams. All the major, he tried out everybody and they all turned him down, and got close a couple times, but it was not there. And he goes, do you think some girl telling me, no, you can't get that is going to bother me now? I go, well, I guess not. Okay. So he learned how to understand no and just come back and keep going. So he got there, and for about 1.5 years, all he did was take acting classes. He just
smart.
Constantly worked on that and read as much as he could. I mean, he read a lot about the business and understanding it. And he was strictly an actor until about 4 years ago.
Oh, really? Oh, so he didn't start out as a comedian?
No.
Oh, wow.
He's been fortunate enough. I mean, he's got a lot of parts in different TV shows. I mean, he was in Green Book, the Academy Award-winning movies. So,
I saw his reels. There's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's done, some decent stuff, and is getting more. He just produced his own movie over the quarantine period. He went out on the road, and he wrote, starred in, and produced a Place in the Field. It's a serious movie. But he did it with, the 17 people on the road in Winnebago, going from Texas to New England to New Mexico. I believe it was Arizona, and then Northern California. And they're now they're in post production with the movie. So I'm real proud of them to do that. I told them, I said, do you have any idea how difficult that is to try and put together? And they managed to do it. So it's quite a feat. Now, I haven't seen the finished product yet. I've only seen short clips of what's going on with it, but it's going to be interesting. It's a serious movie. It's not a comedy.
Not a comedy. And they all kind of quarantined together, so they're safe to work together.
That's how they worked it out. They quarantined. Everybody got tested before they left. They stayed together. They only wore masks. Everybody did all the protocols they needed to be done in order to put the movie together. So. And they pulled it off. They had a couple of mishaps along the way, some bumps, some flat tires, and things running out of gas, things like that. But other than that, everything worked out really well.
That's really good.
Well, and people are looking for content now because no one's been able to produce.
Yeah, exactly.
They're hungry for something.
Well, the thing is, now he's got to get the money for post-production. That's the interesting part. As the filming itself was very lucky. The girl that directed was also the girl he dated. She's at the American Film Institute, and she's in her senior year of that. And she was able to get a lot of the material, all the cameras and the lighting equipment, everything else, for very decent cost because it was a female project. The cinematographer was female, and one of the other, I forget who else was a female on the project. So it was more of a female project. So they helped it along quite a bit.
Yeah,
there's a lot of support for women directors now.
Oh yeah, without question. And she's a beautiful girl. She really is a beautiful girl on top of it. And she's Hispanic, and she checks all the boxes for everybody.
And an extra box for him.
Well, I guess we want to show a clip from you speaking in the other club. You got that clip up, Ryan? Can we show that for a second?
Good. I am so glad you're all here, and I actually am glad that I am here 30 years later. And I'm real surprised that some of you are still here as well. There are some people out there that were here the first night that we were ever open. And I'm glad you are still with us and you're still here. Ronnie's out there somewhere, and if it wasn't for Ronnie Day, this place wouldn't have been here. So, everybody needs to know that. I had a job when we finally got this place together, and I needed a place to work, and this is where I landed. So, a lot of good things have come out of it. And hopefully we'll still continue to come out of it. Anyway, we're going to talk about the club. Let me talk about the Punchline for 1 minute. As you all know, to be in business 30 years in Atlanta, in any business, is an amazing feat. And we've had some tremendous people on this stage to help us and behind the stage to help us over the 30 years. I mean, we've had a great staff. Dave and Ron, again, when they started this place, it was a pretty phenomenal venture. I mean, it started with a bunch of guys getting together and saying, you know what, if we looked at the Cleveland Comedy Club and said, if the club can work in Cleveland, man, one could probably work in Atlanta.
That's a 30 years to have a comedy club. That's amazing.
All right, well, it's 38 now. So.
38. So what would you say was the biggest hurdle or the biggest challenge of owning a comedy club over the years?
Wow. It's 9/11 was kind of a challenge,
Oh, wow.
Because there wasn't a lot of people ready to laugh for a long time after that. That took a while for everybody to get back. And I kind of, I see some parallels between that and going through the pandemic now.
Oh, yeah.
We're all, when nobody's really was in a great mood, it's sorrowful. I mean, this is not a fun time for people. There are 30 some million people out of work, and most of them are in the entertainment business, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, I mean, people, Broadway is closed.
Yeah.
And can I give you
And will be for another year.
Yeah, I got to give you a funny story though. I just remember this, and something about Broadway in particular. Okay, like we've been trying to get Billy Gardell on Broadway for a while. Okay, it's been something that was always one of his dreams, is to play Broadway, work in a play on Broadway. So, I had hinted around, and we talked to the agents and different people and people in New York, and said, Billy's available, and he can sing too. So, a lot of people didn't know that either, but for a while I was really trying. After I saw Wicked, I said, you know what, I'd love to see Billy do the Wizard and Wicked for a run, maybe a 2-month run, because we got shows going on. You can't work there all the time. Can't work for that kind of money. But anyway,
theater money is different than TV money.
Yeah, exactly. So as it turned out, this past January, I think it was, something was going to open up in Chicago on the play Chicago on Broadway, and Mr. Cellophane, the guy.
That's a good track for him.
Right. So. They wanted him to come in and audition. As it turned out, he was in New York for something. We were doing some promo. So they said, can you come in and try out for this part? And this was in, mid-February, I guess it was, maybe a little before that. And he goes, sure, I'll come over. So he learned his lines. He went, he sang, he talked to the director and producers, sang. We get a phone call about, a day later, they said, hey, look, we love him. We want Billy we'd love Billy to play. We do 8 weeks on Broadway. Okay. He'll do Mr. Cellophane. So we're like, this is tremendous.
Right.
his show finishes. We were wrapping Bob Hart's Abishola, I think, on the 17th of March. Okay, so they said you'll start on the. You got to come to New York and work for 10 days from the 20th till the 1st of April, and then we'll go right into the show. You'll start on the show on Broadway. And don't you know that probably 4 days after we got the okay for Billy to go to Broadway and play on Broadway, Broadway closed.
Oh no!
Yeah. So I said, well, I said, this could only happen to you, Bill. I said,
Right.
you've been on this 20 years. You finally got your shot on Broadway, and Broadway closed. It hasn't closed in 100 years. Okay, not 100 years. Broadway.
Even 9/11, they only shut down for like 1 or 2 days.
Exactly. So it was one of those funny stories, it was like, okay, those things happen. I mean, how many, and I'm sure you have a million stories like that too, of things that have happened to you over the years with different talent, and
I've handled I've had a lot of Roxy's in Chicago. I've handled like 10 of them. Bianca Marroquin is judging for us, who does Roxy a lot for them.
Right. Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, everything shut down. I wrote a show. My very first off-Broadway show was supposed to open this summer. And it got obviously postponed until, hopefully 2021.
Right.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
We all hope.
So your new place is going, and you've got some shows going, and you're going to just keep continuing to do that. What else could we expect from the great Chris DiPetta, who's done everything?
I still manage some, so I have some other people that I manage. I manage a comedian named Dale Jones, who is so funny. He's too funny for television. Okay, he's one of those.
I like it.
He's kind of old school, but he's high energy. And I've been turned down by every TV show and every festival. Not every festival, but the Just for Laughs turned him down a number of times. And I book him as too funny for TV because he is. I mean, he goes around, he gets standing ovations at clubs everywhere he goes. And I mean, that does not happen. Okay, even in Atlanta, he gets standing ovations. And that never happens. But, it's one of those things where he's not from that, he doesn't have the kind of quiet edge that I think a lot of people are looking for like the alternative vein in comedy that, that has been really big for a long time. And he defies that. He's the alternative comedian, that's what he is. So, and I mean, he's one. And then I have this girl, Candice Gardino, and we have a play that's been going on now for a couple of years that just got killed because of everything shutting down. But her play is called Italian Bread. It's BRED, and we were doing theaters, anywhere from 800 to 1,000 seat theaters with her.
Wow.
And selling out. I mean, she's been selling out in most of these venues, and we were getting at a real nice role. And then, this all happened. So the live part of her show, we kind of put it down because there's no place to play right now. But, we've been trying to sell it as a TV show. So who knows how that goes in the next, 6 months or so. But, that's been tough, too, because, pitches are all done on Zoom now.
Yeah, everything's on Zoom.
Yeah. Exactly.
Wow. Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, Chris, it's been great talking to you. Is there any way we can have people catch up with you besides your website here? You're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Christy AMI?
Yep.
I'd love to finish up. Chris, do you have a favorite joke that you can tell us before you go? Favorite joke?
Put me on the spot here for any favorite joke.
Don't worry.
I'm trying to remember the last one I heard. Kenny Rogerson told it to me from Boston.
Oh, really?
I'm trying to see if I can remember it. You know what? I can't even think of one right now.
That's okay, Chris. I should have warned you. I should have given you a warning.
Yeah, if you give me some time, I would have come up with one or two at least.
Okay. I'm sure if anybody wants laughs, they could just go to your club, right? So
right, exactly.
Exactly.
And, I'm looking forward. I wish you guys well with this festival. I mean, I know Zoom is a different type of festival for you guys, and
it's a whole other world.
And I'd love to see it in person one of these days. You know?
Oh, absolutely. Would love to have you out and even like have you participate in some form.
Absolutely. Love to.
It's been so great getting to know you and finding out all about this fascinating life.
Right,
That
we
you
should talk about comedy club some more. I don't think we're into it enough.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Chris. This has been a great interview. And we'll see what you are going to be at the festival.
The what?
And we'll see. You're going to judge the finals of the festival. I think.
Without question. Hopefully we'll have great guys all through it. And girls.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Have a good night.
Take care.
Thank you.